Welcome to Inside Flair, which stands for Flourish in Life Through Art and Resources for Endometriosis. I'm your host, Priscilla, and on this podcast, we talk about the ins and outs of what it's like living with endometriosis and chronic illness, the power of art as a tool in healing and coping, and the power of storytelling as a part of spreading awareness about the disease. Today, I have the pleasure of meeting with Sam Edgington from the UK. She's a new member to the Endo and Flair community who will be sharing her story with us today and journey with Endo, along with her new initiative and support group that she started called Echoes. Welcome, Sam. Thank you so much for being here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, guys. So, I'm Samantha. I live in Bristol, England, United Kingdom. I'm 33, just 33, and I've only just been officially diagnosed with endometriosis. Although it all started, when I had my first period at around 15. Got diagnosed with polycystic ovaries at 17, which when I look back at it now, they didn't really give me any information. They just told me you've got PCOS, which is cysts on your ovaries, and the best way to cope with like the heavy bleeding and stuff is to go on birth control. Sorry.
So what you said, 18?
17.
17. So at what point were you like, this is not normal and I need to, like, I have more answers? Like, what was that experience like when
I was 15 when I had I can't remember when I started my period, but I remember being 15 and having a ridiculously heavy and ridiculously painful period. I was in school and it was like horrendous. And I remember sort of coming home and thinking like I need to go to the GP. So I did, but they just dismissed it. They said, you've only just started, it's normal, just give it some time. And so I did. And then, when I was 17, like nothing really changed. The period stayed the same, but there wasn't a lot of support like from the people around me. So when I would like say they would very much just be like, oh yeah, it's normal, you'll be fine. So I really did feel like, oh, it's just normal. And then when I was 17, started having like regular intimacy, and that was so painful, like razor blade painful. And then I spoke to him, like he's my husband now, so I spoke to him about it, and he was sort of like, that it doesn't sound normal. I think we should go to the GP and see like the doctors and see what they say. So that's when I did at 17, and then they sent me for a scan then of the ovaries, and that's when they found the cysts, and that's when they diagnosed me with PCOS. But they did say to me then that there's a chance the PCOS could progress into endometriosis. So he basically said, if you want to have kids, try and have them younger, because if you do end up getting endometriosis, then there's a chance that it could like mess with your fertility. But at 17, I was like, one, I've never even heard of endometriosis. I don't even know what that is. I didn't even think I could say it. Two, I had no intention of having kids at that point in my life. I just literally wanted to find a way to stop intimacy being so painful. That was like my biggest thing. So it was a bit of a like,
you're not even complaining about your period at this point. You're just like, I want to feel good with the person that makes me feel good.
Exactly.
It's crazy. Yeah. And I know you're not the only one who's like, wait a second, like, why are we talking about kids right now? I'm like, just need to figure out if I'm going to uni after this, right? Yeah. It's like, exactly, one step at a time, slow down.
Yeah.
That's great that you have such a supportive partner, because I know that's another big factor that comes into play in our journey of like trying to figure this out. Like, that's for a whole nother episode. Like I said, I just like want to go into that in detail. So how long until your surgery, your first surgery?
16 years.
That's crazy. So when were you diagnosed with endo?
Yeah. Well, yeah, yes, but it's probably for another episode as well. Here in the UK, when you have your surgery, they only give you the briefest, and I cannot express how brief it is, like information on what they found initially. So, and then you have to wait for a follow-up consultation. This is with the NHS, at least. I'm not sure if it's different if you pay to go privately in the UK, but for the NHS, at least, you have your surgery and then you have to wait 3 months. So yes, I am now put down as endometriosis on my record, but I don't really know what stage it was or is. I don't know how badly it's affected me. I basically put in from my discharge letter. I put that into Chat GPT and got the bits of information that I assume is what it's trying to tell me. But I won't know until May. And obviously, once I find out, I'll release more information about it. But so I'm kind of in this place now where I'm like, okay, so I do, after 16 years, I do have it, but I still don't know, like, to what extent I have it, or if, like, I know that they removed quite a lot of stuff and the surgery was a long time. And so it's like, I know it's not, it's just a bit, yeah.
This
No,
is
have no idea.
wild. It's
Yeah.
wild because it's your body. Like, you have every right to know, especially immediately,
Mm-hmm.
what's still there and what's missing.
Exactly.
Like, the laws and just the guidelines as far as those steps and those procedures. I mean, that's wild, and I'm so sorry that you have to go through that, the waiting game. So we're in April 2026. When was your surgery?
February the 8th this year.
Right, so you were just a few weeks before me.
Yeah.
That's wild. And this was your diagnostic?
Yes.
Official?
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about, you know, I love that you said you did that with ChatGPT. I did that too, actually, with my this surgery too. It just helped me understand so much more. But at least in my follow-up appointment, which was mine was earlier. It was 5 days
Mm-hmm.
after. Well, my case was different, but like other women, it can be like that 6 to 8 week mark or whatever it is to go over how you're feeling and everything. You don't even know the details, like you just said, of what came out, what stage you have. You have an understanding of like that it was a lot, it was severe. So, when is your follow-up appointment to discuss the results?
May.
May. Okay. Wow.
Well, they've said it's May, but
That's a
it's
long time.
it's a long time, and there's a chance with with the NHS in the UK, there's a chance it could be pushed, so I could be looking at even later than that. And I
In
have
the
tried to bring the hospital that I had the surgery at to sort of see if they could just give me some idea of anything, like officially anything.
I was going
And
to say
it's
in the meantime, who is following up with you in terms of your recovery as far as pain management, symptoms, things like that? I mean, you should be at least, I know in the US here, there's a team at the practice where there's the surgeon and the PAs and the nurses, and somebody at some point, is responsible for kind of combing through and following up, making sure patients don't fall through the cracks.
mm,
Um, so you feel like you're alone in that? I mean, as far as like, because something could happen, you never know. Like worst case scenario, there's some type of post-surgical complication, or like, how is your pain? Like, did they give you something along like at discharge where like here, could they at least give you like, is it green, yellow, or red? I mean, what can you have to expect to you know, what your recovery should look like?
so in no, basically, I don't have any support. So when I got discharged, they discharged me with stool softener, and ibuprofen. I did have stronger stuff at home because obviously that's what I've been living on for several years. But no, the aftercare is something else that I want to bring up on here and probably again at a different date. The aftercare from me, in my experience, has been horrendous. So I had this surgery done, and then I was told I'd get a follow up in May, and that was it. But in about 3 weeks after surgery, one of my incisions split open, when I rang the ward that I was on, they told me to ring my GP. So I rang the GP. They told me to ring the ward, and I said I've rang the ward. They told me to ring you. So they told me to go to A&E. I was like, well, I'm not going to go and sit in accident and emergency when it's just, I just need to know whether this is, you know. And I just got like flat out dismissed. Like, we don't have time to see it. We're sorry. And so that was that. And then about 6 weeks after, I had what I knew was a flare up, but because I'd had surgery and had things taken out, in my head I was like, well, like, what is it? It can't be a flare up because it's gone now, surely. Because this was before I'd sort of started really, really looking into it and what it all means. So I made an appointment with the GP, went to the GP, and I mean, one, because the healthcare is so different on the NHS, she didn't even realise that I'd just sort of come out of surgery. So she was like, what are we doing today? And I was like, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And they was just like, oh, okay. Went through stuff. And then she basically told me that it sounded like the start of the flu. So,
hold on. Were your stitches taken care of at least at this point?
No.
What? How are you healing with this? Are you watching YouTube videos? I mean,
Yeah, basically, yeah.
My
And
goodness.
I've gone to like
This
Boots,
is like
which is like a healthcare thing, and
this is basic training. I mean, like here, oh my, I am so sorry to hear that. I mean, you'd think at like some type of, I don't even know, urgent care. You just shouldn't have to be alone in this. And like, not just the physical recovery part. Oh, and back to what you're saying about the flare up. So I'm experiencing that as well. So I'm officially 6 weeks out. And I got in touch with the office because I've been having like, and for listeners, I am in surgical menopause. So I had a total hysterectomy. And so sometimes I'm still figuring out my hormone replacement therapy and the dosing. So as I find that I'm getting closer to when I need my next injection, I'm experiencing what are hot flashes. But then sometimes, and I just actually got off the phone in the office yesterday with the surgeon, I'm having like, okay, I'm feeling like this is not a hot flash. This is like, I feel like I have a fever. This is like a long, over an hour burning sensation. I'm fanning myself. I'm like, what is happening? This can't be a hot flash. I just had my injection. I'm feeling okay. And he reminded me that what feels like a flare up can be essentially, it is still inflammation, which is part of the body's process of healing itself after a major surgery like that. So that was comforting to know. Like I said, everybody's body and story is different. That's my experience. I don't know if that could be something that you're experiencing too. My experience was also different because I had a large hematoma.
Yeah.
So it's like still going down. There was a lot of swelling there, but it's hard for us to distinguish. And unless you are being guided by a healthcare provider that has that experience to tell you, especially, so I don't know what it's like in the UK in detail, but I experienced for example, my surgeon explained to me that one of his pet peeves or something that's difficult he hates seeing is the patients that are so desperate for care, they have operations done by surgeons that are not specialists. Endometriosis is not their thing, or they don't have the best of the best. I'm lucky. I feel very lucky to live in New York State, New York and California, where there's a lot of the more specialist training. And what ends up happening, yes, they might remove part of the disease, but not as carefully, not completely, not as thorough. And when women end up coming back because it's growing back, and it's based on the extent of the disease. So it's really hard. It's hard to gauge that, especially if this is your first experience finally getting answers, finally having the official diagnosis. I mean, you've got, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you've got, okay, both can be true, feeling relieved and feeling like you finally got that, like we talked about before, that like certificate of like, yes, I got the stamp of approval, I actually have it. But then it's like, okay, this is great, this is relief. But like I said, both can be true. You can also be like, well, what the heck? Like, this is very discouraging. I still need more answers. So what, given the I was gonna say like the stage in your journey in this chapter. What led you to Echoes? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I think I released my story on YouTube, and I was sort of just, that was it in my head. I was like, I'll release it. I'll try and let other women know that they're not alone. That these journeys can take a long time. You just have to keep advocating for yourself. And then the feedback I got from that one video was crazy. Like, so many women messaged me directly and was sort of like, your video was so inspirational. Like, it gave me strength. I feel like courageous enough to tell part of my story, or to at least think about starting to write my story and be a bit more honest with it. So then I sort of was like, oh, okay, I'll try and spread it a bit more. So I've made some social media. I've never done social media. It's not been me. So I had no idea what I was doing. So I made some social medias and then uploaded it on there and a little bit more information, started spreading it around. And again, the feedback on there was the same. Like, there was that connection with like endo warriors all across the world. And even if you're like our story, like mine and your story is different, and how the surgery goes and the process after and all that stuff, like we were just saying, it's different, but they all echo each other. And I do think that it's like, it's easy to have like an instant connection with someone who's gone through a very similar journey, because it does, we all seem to echo one another's story. And then, yeah, as I, time went on a little bit, I was like, I want to do more. It was, you gave me the inspiration with Flair, because Flair is like, it's amazing. It's inspirational. And it's a real way to like build actual community where people can feel like they really belong. So I thought I could do something similar in the UK with Echoes, where women can feel confident and secure, but also the women that don't have an official diagnosis. Because that was the hardest part for me for those 16 years. Like, in my head, I knew I had it, but I felt like I couldn't turn to people who had it because I didn't have it. So it's like that grey area of like, well, I know I've got it, but I don't have it. So I can't, and I could have, I know I could have, because now I sit here and I want people in that position to come and speak to me. But I didn't feel like I could speak to people who may have had it, because it was like, am I just being a fraud? Like, I have my surgery and then I don't have it. So I basically wanted to fill this gap where people can feel like they can come and talk about their experiences with or without an official diagnosis, because
I love that.
that would
I
have
love
helped me massively, I think.
I love that so much because two things you're hitting there that are unique and stand out. One, you're highlighting the major difference that women go through in the UK that before talking to you, I did not know that. And the second part is really narrowing down, like you said, like that niche, that group within the group, right? That don't have the official. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel that way, that you're like, wait, I know I have it, like deep down, like you said, in my head, but it's like in my heart and my gut and my pelvis, like I know I have it or something, especially because if you were diagnosed with PCOS, which oftentimes overlaps or goes hand in hand with other women who have the disease. And it's just like those, like, I love what you're doing with Echoes because it's not just endo, like I said, like we were saying, there's like so many different communities out there, but it's like, hold on, like I'm waving at the girls in the back that haven't had their surgery yet, or you're struggling and you're just like, I know there's something more than that. And I think that's really unique. I love that what you're doing because it's it's including women and more. Like you said, you felt like a fraud. Like that's a terrible feeling. It doesn't matter what it is. Like kind of like wait, like and who more than women with endo and or PCOS need connection? We need
Mm-hmm.
support. So that barrier there of feeling like you can't like wait, can I fully connect? Like, can we relate? It's like
Mm-hmm.
how can I even step over that line? And I felt similar, but not like in my experience, it wasn't when I didn't get my diagnosis as much yet, but even after I did, I was like, what do I do with this? I don't know anyone. I didn't know there was an endo community online. Like you said, I couldn't even say it. Like, wait, what? Like, what is this? And even after I got my diagnosis with one of the top New York City doctors, because I was living on Long Island at the time, no one was like, here, I'm sorry what you're going through. Like, no one addresses mental health. They're just like, thumbs up. We got it. It's out now. You have stage 4. And then they just told me things like, you'll probably have a surgery every 2 to 5 years. Yours is a terrible case. Okay, bye now. And it's like, all right. So, and to be honest with you, that's what I did. I just started moving on with my life and didn't, oh, well, they were right in a way that the symptoms did return like literally exactly 2 years after, same month, February. It's like a cursed month for me. And I want to go back to what you said at the beginning of the conversation where you said around the time that you had your diagnosis for PCOS and you're with your partner and you're just like red flags all around, you mentioned that you felt like you couldn't talk to anyone about it. And this is before, right? Like you even hear the word endo or whatnot. You're trying to figure this out, telling you that this is just bad periods. But correct me if I'm wrong, you ended up reconnecting with a high school like peer who at the time was also experiencing. So it's interesting. It's like when we're young at that age, especially women, especially when it comes to reproductive health and understanding our bodies, where are those mentors, whether it's teachers or whatever, saying like, hey, this is a thing. Like, why don't they need to start teaching this in health, the health class that we get for a hot second there in high school, right? Like, there needs to be more of that, like, out there so that you can be, more educated just a little bit, right? And then that way you can be there for each other. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like what that's like when you were that age, at that time? So, so you were in high school, right? And so you've recently reconnected with a peer
Yeah.
who also has it.
Yeah.
What's
So
that been like?
I won't say her name because it's obviously confidential, but we were actually in the same group in school. And we were never like best friends, never the closer friends, but we were in the same group. And then she reached out to me on Facebook, following the video and said like I'd watched her video and she's like it was crazy because I was literally going through the same thing in like secondary school over here. And it was wild to think that we were both so young, both going through the same thing, but had no idea. And I just think like we've both said to each other, if we knew like back then that it wasn't normal and what we were going through compared to all the other girls around us who were or seemed to be normal, then maybe we would have had that support in each other to be able to like help each other through. But instead we were left just feeling completely isolated. And in those group of girls where everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm on my period, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, this is a very different period to mine. It's like a real so it's been really nice reconnecting with her, and like we've spoken through our journeys together and stuff, and it's really nice. But I just wish that there had been more education taught about, it's not just, there's so much more than just women's periods. There's PCOS, there's endometriosis, PMDD. There's so many different things that that play into women's hormones, but there's just not enough education about it at all.
And like you said, can you imagine what that experience would have been like at that age had you guys been able to have that conversation? And we will be having another guest next week, a therapist, mental health professional. She also suffers from living with a chronic illness herself. So I'm really excited to get that perspective. But it just ties into not just being educated on our bodies, but our mental health too, and what that plays into our overall quality of life and wellness. So with that, do you want to elaborate a little bit? I am interested to hear about future plans that you have for Echoes. Like right now, I know you're in the beginning stages, as am I with Flare. Do you want to share some ideas or kind of future vision that you have?
So yeah, very much in the beginning, very much still trying to figure it out. But I think I do eventually want to build an actual physical support group for the UK as like a whole, so we can do things like this, like podcasts and speak online and things like that. But then so I'm from Bristol, and my plan is to literally make a physical support group so that I can hire somewhere out, or whatever, and get a group of women together so we can speak, we can meet face to face, we can actually speak things through and like build true connections, because you can have all the support in the world, but I think when you meet someone who does know what you're going through and can literally sit there and say me too, or yes I know, and that they know, it makes it this it's a different level of support. It's so validating, and that's what I want to be able to give other women, because I think if I'd have had that throughout my journey, my mental health would be very different now. And I wouldn't have experienced some of the hard times that I did as a result of feeling like I was completely alone throughout it all. So yeah, I'm not, and there might be more. I'm still toying with a few things, but that's all I'm going to give it for now, because I'm not sure. So hopefully I do want to build, a physical support group, and yeah.
That's amazing. And it's so important to have those types of in-person connections, because so far in my experience with Flare, I've been able to connect with you and other people around the world, but it's not quite the same. I've actually only met and interacted, I think, with a couple people. I can think of that have it, that have had that conversation. And I gotta tell you, like, I remember, like, I think I literally always get chills after. I actually kind of sometimes feel like I geek out, like I'm seeing a celebrity. Like, I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, someone you know what I mean? I'm just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And with Flair, so a big thing with Flair for listeners, so flourish in life, like let's improve our quality with art and resources for endo. The resources are not Flair providing all of this clinical, medical, emotional support as much as it is a library to turn and guide members of the community to communities like yours. So we're slowly building that in whatever way I can help support Echoes, because I think that's amazing. And I think more women in your country who have those similar experiences need that. They need to feel connected. The awareness needs to grow. It needs to be there. And I think what you're doing is amazing. I mean, it's really the potential. I'm like, again, I think I've got chills now thinking about this, especially for those women that aren't diagnosed yet. And on that note, I have to ask you, what if you only, like, if you bumped into someone on the street? No. And if you could say something, short and sweet, or what would you want, especially our listeners listening right now who haven't been diagnosed yet, or maybe they have a surgery coming up? What do you wish you were told, or that you would like others to know, to hear, who are in that part of their journey right now?
So you're not alone at all. There are so many of us that it's actually crazy how many of us are around the world, and how many of us are willing to support each other and help each other. No idea who each other are, but yet the love and the care and the compassion is there. So reach out, don't be scared. And if you know you have it, I believe you. The chances are every other endo warrior is going to believe you, because it's not in your head. It's not in your head. You're so validated, you're so cared for, you're so supported. So speak, be honest, advocate for yourself. Don't let people tell you it's this and that and this and that. Just follow your instincts and look for your support groups, because we are out here and we will be your strength to hold you up when you can't do it for yourself.
Cheers. That's amazing. Thank you. I echo that. Amen. So, where can people find you? I know you said you started sharing your story on YouTube. Can you tell us the handles, the platforms?
So YouTube, I'm at my endo story, and then I'm on Instagram, Facebook, as just Samantha Edgington. On Substack, I think it's at Samantha Edgington, but it might be at Samantha Echoes. And then on TikTok as well as Samantha Echoes.
Awesome. Perfect.
But they're all linked. If you find me on Instagram, they're linked. If you find me on YouTube, it's all linked somewhere. Again, I'm still getting used to this whole technology side of things, so bear with me, guys, but I am slowly getting there. Yeah.
Great. And I will make sure to include all those links in the show notes in case you can find them there. And again, thank you so much, guys, listening. Here at Flare, we are about keeping this conversation going. All right. We're not about having you, come on, share a story, and then we never hear from you. No, Sam, guys, get ready. Sam's going to be back. She's going to let you know how Echoes is going. She's going to let you know that medical report that you get back. No, I'm just kidding. You know what I mean? Like, we had to figure this out. This is a mystery. This is an exciting episode. It's like, dun, dun, dun. No. But, literally. But again, yes, thank you so much for being on here, for sharing, and I look forward to following up with you. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. If you've made it this far, thank you for being here. Keep creating, keep healing. Talk soon.